So it's a quiet evening at the bridge. We're just taking some time to relax after a really warm, hot, and sweaty day. And the last few days, I've really been thinking about squares, about squares on the calendar, and how they represent such significant things. And so I have this calendar, and so August 14th was when we celebrated our anniversary. It was 41 years that we celebrated on August 14th. August 14th was when we were here a month. At that point, we've been in Louisiana, Missouri for a month, and I just look at pictures at squares on the calendar. The 19th was the day that Leah posted something about the fact that it was 2 years ago on that day that I had the port put in my chest so that I could start dialysis, so that on the 20th I started dialysis. It's 2 years now since I started that process. In just a couple days, it will be 7 months after my kidney transplant. I mean, look at all of the squares on the calendar, and they represent something. If I turn the page and look into next month, that number represents the number that's on my driver's license. And yeah, we just won't talk about it, but it's the number that's on my driver's license, and that number is going. It seems like it's farther and farther away. All of these squares represent tons and tons of stories. And there's so many more. And you have them too. In your squares on your calendar, you can check off an event. And some of them are great events filled with great, big, happy memories. And some of them, you dread the day of that square coming across on the calendar because it represents something so painful and hard. But the squares on the calendar all represent numbers and numbers of stories. All kinds of, you do an anniversary, 41 years, all of the stories I could tell you about Leah. And then she would not tell you any stories about me. But there's each square represents so many stories. And so I've been thinking about what if God had a calendar? What if next to the throne, there was a calendar that was posted? I wonder if on God's calendar, there's just one square. What do you think? Is it possible that on God's calendar there's one square that just says eternity? And all of that includes from the beginning to the end and even today. So God has this calendar with one square on it. And the beauty of this is, the beauty of my journey and your journey and our walk with the Lord is that we get to put our countless squares inside of God's one square. So that he would tell Joshua, you're about to enter the promised land. Be strong and courageous because I'm going to be with you wherever you go. What did he mean by that? Every morning when you wake up, no matter where you are, your calendar fits inside of my calendar. I'm there. I'm present. We talk about the Great Commission, Matthew 28, and at the very end, the last verse of Matthew says, I am with you always. No matter what square you're on, God is with you in that. So at the bridge, part of what we want to be able to do is connect community, and we want to connect people to people, and we also want to connect people to God. We want people to be able to recognize the fact that all of your squares fits inside God's one big square. And it includes It includes the hard ones and the good ones. And it always includes God's grace and His power and His presence and His love. So when you end this day, know that it's part of God's one square. And when you sleep through the night and you wake up in the morning, you're still on God's square. It's a beautiful thing to know that there is a God that has you in the palm of His hand all of the time. It would be a pleasure to connect people with the Lord and to remind people of a Lord that has them in the palm of their hands through each of the days. Would you take encouragement and joy just from knowing that today's yours and the Lord's, and tomorrow morning will be yours and the Lord's, and all of those days that were tough and all those days that were great, God's part of it. So let's celebrate tomorrow morning when we wake up. We're all on the same calendar. It's one more day.